when a single ultrasound image sent to the wrong person destroys 2 lives in 60 seconds. Lena Hart stared at her phone, watching the message deliver to Ethan Cole instead of Mom. Her hands went cold. The screen showed a grainy black and white image, a tiny curve of spine, a flutter that might become a heartbeat, and beneath it, words she'd typed through tears. "I'm keeping the baby. I don't care if he doesn't want it. I'll do this alone." Her boss. She just sent her deepest secret to her billionaire boss. Before we dive into how one mistake became the beginning of something neither of them expected, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's go back to where it all started. The elevator doors opened onto the 47th floor with a whisper that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Lena Hart stepped out, her worn flat silent against Italian marble that reflected the Chicago skyline like a mirror laid flat beneath her feet. 6:30 in the morning. The office still smelled like last night's air freshener and tomorrow's ambition. She'd been Ethan Cole's executive assistant for 14 months. 14 months of arriving before dawn, leaving after dark, and organizing a life so precisely calibrated that a single misplaced comma could derail a merger worth hundreds of millions. 14 months of watching him move through the world like gravity didn't quite apply to him the same way it applied to everyone else. Lena set her coffee, bodega coffee, not the artisan stuff from the lobby, on her desk and powered up her computer. The morning routine never changed. Email first, calendar second, market reports third. By the time Ethan arrived at 7:15, she'd have his briefing printed, his calls prioritized, and his entire day mapped out in 15-minute increments. Except this morning, her hands were shaking. She pulled her phone from her purse and looked at the ultrasound image again. 8 weeks. A blob that barely looked human, but the technician had pointed out what would become arms, legs, a head. Lena had stared at that screen yesterday afternoon, alone in a clinic that smelled like industrial cleaner, and felt her entire future collapse into something the size of a grape. The father, calling him that felt generous, had blocked her number 3 weeks ago. They'd dated for 5 months. He was a paralegal at a firm 2 buildings over, charming in that effortless way some men had. The kind who remembered to text good morning but forgot to mention he was also seeing 2 other women. When she'd told him about the pregnancy, he'd actually laughed. Not cruel laughter, surprised laughter, like she'd told him she'd won the lottery or discovered a new planet. "You're not keeping it," he'd said. Not a question. "I haven't decided." "Lena, come on, this isn't..." He'd waved his hand between them, encompassing whatever they'd been. "I'm not ready for a kid. I'm 28. I've got student loans. My career's just starting. I'm 30. I've got student loans too. And I'm the one who'd be pregnant." That conversation had ended with him leaving her apartment and never coming back. She'd called twice, texted 4 times, then watched the messages turn green as his phone reclassified her as someone who didn't deserve the blue bubble of iMessage recognition. So here she was, 30 years old, 43,000 in debt, living in a studio apartment in a neighborhood where gunshots occasionally interrupted her sleep, pregnant, alone. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Did you think about what we talked about?" Lena closed her eyes. Her mother had been careful not to say the word abortion out loud, but it hung between every sentence of their last conversation like smoke. Her parents had emigrated from Korea before Lena was born, had worked brutal hours to give her opportunities they'd never had, and now here she was, unmarried and pregnant, about to become exactly the kind of statistical disappointment they'd sacrificed everything to prevent. She started typing a response, opened her photos to attach the ultrasound, wanted her mother to see what she saw. Not a mistake, but a possibility. A tiny chance at something that might make the loneliness of the past 5 years mean something. She typed, "I'm keeping the baby. I don't care if he doesn't want it. I'll do this alone. I know you think I'm making a mistake, but this might be the only chance I get. I'm not getting younger. I'm not getting less alone. Maybe this is supposed to happen." Lena attached the ultrasound image, hit send. Then her blood went cold. The message hadn't gone to Mom. It had gone to Ethan Cole. Her finger had slipped. One contact up in her recent messages, one microscopic error, one universe-ending mistake. She stared at the screen, watched the message deliver. watched the read receipt reappear. No, 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 no. She tried to unsend it. Couldn't. Tried to delete it. Too late. The message sat there in the thread, wedged between yesterday's reminder about his 3 o'clock meeting and this morning's catastrophic overshare about her unplanned pregnancy. Lena's vision tunneled. The office tilted. She gripped the edge of her desk and tried to remember how breathing worked. Ethan Cole had just seen her ultrasound, had just read her desperate confession about keeping a baby the father didn't want, had just received conclusive evidence that his executive assistant was a complete disaster whose personal life was imploding in real time. She was going to get fired, obviously, immediately. He'd probably have security escort her out. She'd be jobless and pregnant by 8 a.m. She'd lose her health insurance. She'd have to move back in with her parents. She'd have the baby in her childhood bedroom while her mother looked at her with that particular expression of Korean disappointment that could strip paint. Her phone buzzed, a message from Ethan. My office, now. Lena's stomach dropped through the floor. She stood on legs that didn't feel attached to her body. The walk from her desk to his office door covered maybe 30 feet, but it felt like miles. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Sweat prickled along her spine. She knocked. Barely. A pathetic little tap that she hoped might go unnoticed. Come in. Ethan's voice carried the same tone he used for everything, measured, controlled, revealing nothing. She'd heard him use that exact inflection to approve a $100 million acquisition and to order lunch. Everything was equivalent. Everything mattered equally, which meant nothing mattered at all. Lena opened the door. Ethan Cole sat behind a desk that probably cost more than a semester of her college tuition. He was 32, though he carried himself like someone older, dark hair cut precisely, suit that fit like it had been born on his body, eyes the color of lake water in winter, gray-blue and impossible to read. He'd been married once. His wife had died 4 years ago, cancer. Lena had found the old news articles when she'd first started working for him, back when she'd still been curious about the man behind the armor. There had been a son. A little boy who'd lost his mother before he was old enough to remember her clearly. Ethan had never mentioned any of this, never brought his son to the office, never displayed a single personal photograph. His entire life existed in a separate dimension from his work, and Lena had learned quickly that the wall between those worlds was electrified. Sit down, Ethan said. Lena sat. The chair felt too big. Everything in this office was designed to make visitors feel small. The massive windows overlooking downtown Chicago, the modern art that probably cost more than her parents' house, the silence that seemed to have weight and texture. Ethan looked at his phone, at her message, at the ultrasound image of her unborn child. I'm sorry, Lena said. Her voice came out wrong, too high. That wasn't... I meant to send that to my mother. I didn't mean to... This isn't... I'm so sorry. He didn't respond immediately, just kept looking at the image. Lena watched his face and saw nothing, no judgment, no sympathy, no reaction at all. Finally, he set the phone down. How far along are you? The question caught her off guard. She'd expected anger, expected a lecture about professionalism, expected to be fired in the careful, legal way HR would script. 8 weeks, she said. The father? Not involved. By choice? His choice. Ethan nodded slowly. His fingers drummed once against the desk, the only nervous gesture she'd ever seen him make. Are you planning to keep your job? Yes, if I still have one. Why wouldn't you? Lena blinked. Because I just accidentally sent you an ultrasound image and a message about my unplanned pregnancy? You made a mistake with your phone. That's not a firing offense. Oh. Silence filled the space between them. Outside, the city was waking up. Traffic sounds filtered through glass designed to muffle them. Somewhere in the building, other people were starting their workdays, unaware that Lena's entire life had just detonated. Can I ask you something? Ethan said. Okay. Why are you keeping it? The question should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt genuine, like he actually wanted to know. Lena took a breath. Because I'm 30. Because I've spent the last 5 years working 80-hour weeks and going home to an empty apartment. Because every relationship I've had has ended when the guy realized I wasn't going to quit my job to make him the center of my universe. Because my friends are all married with kids and I'm still. She stopped. Sorry, you didn't ask for my life story. You said this might be your only chance. Do you believe that? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. She twisted her hands together. My mom thinks I'm being stupid. She thinks I should. She didn't say it directly, but she thinks I should take care of it and move on. Find someone stable. Do things the right way. What's the right way? Not this. Ethan leaned back in his chair. For a long moment, he just looked at her. Really looked at her. Lena felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with the ultrasound image. I'm getting married in 3 months, he said. Lena knew this. Everyone knew this. Ethan's engagement to Victoria Ashford had made the business section and the society pages. The Ashford family owned half the commercial real estate in the Midwest. The marriage would create a dynasty. Stock prices had jumped on the announcement. Congratulations, Lena said, because what else could she say? It's not a love match. The words hung in the air like something fragile. Oh, Lena said. Victoria and I have an understanding. The marriage benefits both our families. It consolidates holdings. It provides stability for my son. It's a practical arrangement. Lena didn't know what to say to that. The idea of marrying someone without love felt alien and sad, and also somehow inevitable. Wasn't that what happened at a certain level of wealth? People stopped marrying for love and started marrying for portfolios. Does your son know, she asked, that it's not, that you don't. He's 4. He knows Victoria exists. He doesn't understand the nuances. That must be hard. It's practical. There was that word again, practical, like life was a series of equations to be solved rather than experienced. Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and dismissed whatever message had arrived. I need to ask you something, and I need you to think before you answer. Okay. Are you financially prepared to raise a child alone? The question hit like a punch. No. Do you have family support? Not really. My parents, they'll come around eventually, maybe, but right now they're disappointed, ashamed, probably. Savings? Some. Not enough. The father won't contribute? He blocked my number. Ethan nodded like this confirmed something he'd already suspected. He stood and walked to the window, looked out at the city spreading below like a circuit board of glass and steel. I have a son, he said. His name is James. He's 4 years old. He lost his mother when he was 8 months old. He doesn't remember her. He has a nanny who takes excellent care of him, but she's not his mother. She's an employee. Lena didn't know where this was going. Victoria has no interest in being a mother. She's made that clear. The arrangement we have is professional. She'll attend events. She'll fulfill social obligations. She'll maintain separate residences. Our marriage will be a corporate merger with wedding rings. I'm sorry, Lena said, because she was. Ethan turned from the window. I'm going to make you an offer. I want you to listen to the entire thing before you respond. Okay? Cancel your plans for tonight. Have dinner with me. Not here. Somewhere we can talk without interruption. I'll have my driver pick you up at 7. I don't understand. You will. 7 o'clock. Your address is in your employee file. Mr. Cole, Ethan. If we're going to have this conversation, you should probably use my first name. Lena's head spun. What conversation? The one where I propose a solution that might save both of us. Lena spent the rest of the day in a fog. She organized meetings she didn't remember, sent emails she didn't read, answered phone calls on autopilot while her mind spun through possibilities. What could Ethan possibly offer her? Money? She wouldn't take it. A better position? She was already his assistant. There was nowhere to go that didn't involve actually running part of his company. At 6:30, she left the office, took the train home, showered, changed into the nicest dress she owned. A simple black thing she'd bought for her college roommate's wedding 3 years ago. Put on makeup, took it off, put it on again. At 7 o'clock exactly, a black car pulled up in front of her building. The driver opened the door. Lena slid into leather seats that smelled like money and tried not to think about how badly this could go wrong. They drove north, away from downtown, past the tourist areas, past the neighborhoods where Lena's friends lived in their starter homes with their starter families. into streets where houses had gates and driveways curved like questions. The restaurant was small, intimate, the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford to eat there. Ethan was already seated. He stood when she approached, a gesture so automatic it seemed unconscious, pulled out her chair, waited for her to sit before sitting himself. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I'm not sure I had a choice." "You always have a choice." A waiter appeared. Ethan ordered wine, then glanced at Lena. "Do you drink?" "Not anymore." He nodded and changed the order to sparkling water. They sat in silence for a moment. The restaurant hummed with quiet conversations. Silverware against china. The muted sounds of people living lives that didn't include accidental pregnancies and desperate measures. "I'm going to be direct," Ethan said. "I need you to hear me out before you react." "Okay." "I want to marry you." Lena laughed. She couldn't help it. The absurdity of the statement hit her like a physical thing. Ethan didn't smile. "I'm serious. You're engaged to someone else. I can fix that. You don't even know me. I know you've worked for me for 14 months. I know you're competent, organized, and discreet. I know you're in a difficult situation that's about to get significantly worse. So this is charity? This is a transaction." The word stung more than it should have. "I don't need your pity." "This isn't pity. This is pragmatism." Ethan leaned forward. "Listen to me. You're pregnant, alone, financially unstable. The father has abandoned you. Your family disapproves. You're about to raise a child in conditions that will make everything harder than it needs to be." "Wow, thanks for the summary. I'm not judging you. I'm stating facts." He paused. "I'm in a trap of my own making. I'm about to marry a woman I don't love to satisfy business interests and provide some semblance of family structure for my son. It's a cold equation. It satisfies external requirements while leaving the internal reality hollow." "And you think marrying me would be better?" "I think marrying you would be honest." Lena stared at him. "Honest?" "You need financial security, legal protection, health care, a stable environment to raise your child. I need—" He stopped. Started again. "My son needs a mother, a real one, someone who will be present, who will care, who isn't doing it for a share of the company. You don't know if I'd care. You're keeping a baby you can't afford because you want it. That tells me you're capable of caring." The waiter brought their water. Lena took a long drink, buying time to process what she was hearing. "This is insane," she said. "Probably. You can't just marry your assistant because she got pregnant." "Why not?" "Because that's not how the world works." "The world works however we decide it works." Ethan's voice stayed level, calm, like they were discussing office supplies instead of rearranging their entire lives. "I'm offering you a solution. Marriage. Legal adoption of your child. Full financial support you and the baby would want for nothing. In exchange for what? Being a mother to James. Being a wife in the ways that matter. At events, in public, creating a stable home environment. I'm not asking for love. I'm asking for partnership." Lena felt like she was drowning. "This is crazy." "This is practical. You keep using that word because it's accurate." Ethan sat back. "I don't believe in fairy tales, Lena. I believed in them once. I married for love. I had everything I thought mattered. Then my wife got sick and died, and I learned that love doesn't protect you from anything. It just makes the loss hurt more. So you're going to marry me instead? Someone you don't love? How is that better?" "Because I won't lose you. We'll have an agreement, clear terms, no expectations beyond what we define. You'll have security. I'll have a family that isn't based on corporate contracts. Your son would have a mother who's there because she chose to be, not because the board of directors required it." Lena's head pounded. "I need to think." "Of course. I can't just, you're asking me to marry you. I'm offering you an option. You don't have to take it. What happens if I say no?" "Nothing. You keep your job. I marry Victoria. We both continue on our current trajectories. And if I say yes, we draw up agreements, legal protections for both of us. I break my engagement. We get married quietly. You move into my home. We build something that works." The restaurant sounds faded. Lena looked at Ethan Cole. This man she'd worked for, organized for, scheduled around for 14 months, and tried to see him as a husband, as a father to her child, as a partner in this bizarre arrangement he was proposing. "Why me?" she asked. "If you wanted a marriage of convenience, you could find someone else, someone more appropriate. You're already in my life. You already know how I work. You're intelligent, capable, and currently in need of exactly what I can provide." And he hesitated. "You sent me that message, that raw, honest moment. I don't care if he doesn't want it. I'll do this alone. That's not someone who gives up. That's someone who fights. Or someone who's stupid. Or someone who's brave." Lena's eyes stung. She blinked hard. "I can't believe we're having this conversation." "Neither can I. What happens when you meet someone you actually love?" "I won't." "You can't know that. I know myself. I had love. It ended. I'm not looking for it again." "That's sad?" "That's realistic." They sat in silence. The waiter brought menus. Lena didn't open hers. "I need time," she said. "Take what you need." "How much time do I have?" "As much as you want. But the longer you wait, the harder your situation becomes." It was true. Brutally, practically true. Every day she waited was a day closer to showing, to her parents finding out, to her landlord discovering she was about to have a baby in a lease that prohibited children, to her insurance running out if she lost her job. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "Anything." "Do you want more kids?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. "I haven't thought about it." "Well, I'm about to have one, so you should probably think about it." "Would you want more?" "I don't know. Maybe. Someday." "Is that allowed in this arrangement?" "We'd negotiate everything, every detail, every expectation. This only works if we're both honest about what we want." "What do you want?" Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. For the first time, she saw something behind the careful control, something that looked like loneliness. "I want my son to have a childhood that isn't managed by employees. I want to come home to something that feels like home, instead of a hotel. I want—" He stopped. "I want to stop pretending everything is fine." Lena's throat tightened. "Yeah, me too." They ordered food, ate in stretches of silence punctuated by small talk that felt surreal. Ethan asked about her family. She asked about James. They circled around the massive thing between them like planets orbiting a sun. When the check came, or rather, when it was discreetly handled without ever appearing, Ethan's driver returned. "I'll take you home," Ethan said. "Okay." They rode in silence. The city lights blurred past the windows. Lena's mind raced through scenarios. Imagine telling her mother she was marrying her boss. Imagine moving into Ethan's house. Imagine becoming a mother to a 4-year-old boy she'd never met. The car stopped in front of her building. "Think about it," Ethan said. "No pressure, no timeline, just think." Lena nodded, reached for the door handle. "Lena?" She turned back. "For what it's worth," Ethan said quietly, "I think you'll be a good mother. To your baby and to James." Something in his voice cracked the armor just enough for her to see through. "I'll call you," she said. She went inside, climbed the stairs to her apartment, sat on her worn couch in the dark and tried to process what had just happened. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Have you decided?" Lena looked at the message, looked at the ultrasound image still saved in her photos, looked at the life she was living, small apartment, impossible situation, future dissolving like sugar in water. Then she looked at the other message thread, the one with Ethan Cole. She started typing, deleted it, started again. Finally sent, "When do you want to talk details?" The response came immediately. "Tomorrow. My office, after hours." Lena set down her phone, put her hand on her still flat stomach, felt the weight of a decision she hadn't quite made but was already making. Maybe this was insane. Maybe she was trading one impossible situation for another. Maybe marrying a man she barely knew to save herself from financial ruin was exactly the kind of mistake her mother warned her about. But maybe, just maybe, it was also the bravest thing she'd ever done. Outside, the city hummed with other people's lives, other people's choices, other people's normal. Lena closed her eyes and let herself imagine something different, something that might save her, something that might save both of them. Tomorrow, she'd find out if practical could also mean possible. Tonight, she just sat in the dark and tried to breathe. The meeting happened on a Thursday, 3 days after the dinner that had turned Lena's entire world sideways. She sat across from Ethan in his office at 8 in the evening, when the building had emptied and the city lights turned the windows into mirrors reflecting two people who were about to make a decision that defied every reasonable instinct. Between them sat a stack of documents. Lena had never seen so much paperwork for something that was supposed to be about two people choosing each other. But this wasn't about choosing. This was about negotiating. My attorney drew these up, Ethan said, sliding the first document toward her. It's a prenuptial agreement, standard protection for both parties. Lena picked it up. The legal language swam before her eyes. Words like irrevocable and termination clause and asset protection jumped out at her like warning signs on a dangerous road. I don't have an attorney, she said. You should get one. I'll cover the cost. You shouldn't sign anything without independent counsel. That feels weird. It's smart. This only works if we're both protected. Lena set down the prenup and picked up the next document. This one was thicker. She flipped through pages of dense text, and her stomach dropped when she saw the words adoption agreement at the top. You're serious about this, she said. It wasn't a question. Did you think I wasn't? I don't know what I thought. She looked up at him. This says you'd legally adopt my baby. Full parental rights, your name on the birth certificate. Yes. Why would you do that? Because half measures don't work. If I'm going to be this child's father, I'm going to actually be the father, legally, completely. Not some arrangement where I'm funding things from a distance. But it's not your child. It will be. Ethan's voice was steady, certain. Biology matters less than commitment. I learned that with James. I'm his father because I show up every day, because I make decisions about his life, because when he's scared at night, I'm the one he calls for. That's what makes someone a parent. Lena's eyes burned. She blinked hard. What if the biological father comes back? He won't have legal standing, not after the adoption. You can't know he won't try. Then we'll deal with it, together. Ethan leaned forward. Lena, if we do this, we do it completely. No half commitments, no exit strategies beyond what's in these agreements. Your child becomes our child. James becomes your child. We build something real. Real, Lena repeated. You keep saying that, but this is the most artificial thing I've ever heard of. Is it? People get married for all kinds of reasons. Love, money, citizenship, convenience. At least we're being honest about our reasons. Most people who get married aren't negotiating terms with lawyers. Most people who get married end up divorced because they didn't negotiate terms. We're just doing it in advance. Lena couldn't argue with that logic, even though something about it felt fundamentally wrong. Or maybe not wrong, just cold. Transactional. The opposite of every romance novel and romantic comedy she'd ever consumed. What about Victoria? She asked. Ethan's jaw tightened, the first real sign of tension she'd seen. I spoke with her yesterday. And? She was understanding. Understanding? You broke your engagement and she was understanding? Victoria and I had an arrangement. I terminated it within the parameters we'd agreed upon. She'll receive compensation for the public embarrassment. Her family's business interests will be protected. It's handled. The casual way he said it made Lena's skin crawl. You paid her off? I fulfilled our agreement. That's not the same thing. In our world, it is. Our world. Like Lena was already part of it. Like she'd already crossed some invisible line from employee to equal. She picked up another document. This one outlined financial arrangements, monthly allowances, trust funds, healthcare coverage, education expenses. The numbers made her dizzy. More money than she'd make in 5 years at her current salary, laid out as casual monthly expenses. This is too much, she said. It's what you'll need. For what? I don't need... She gestured at the page. This says you'd give me $75,000 a month for personal expenses. You'll be raising 2 children, managing a household, representing the family at events. That requires resources. I've been living on $38,000 a year. You won't be anymore. The sheer certainty in his voice should have been reassuring. Instead, it felt overwhelming, like she was being swept into a current too strong to fight. "I need to think," Lena said. "Take the documents, review them with an attorney, make a list of changes you want. We'll negotiate." "What if I can't do this?" Ethan looked at her. For a moment, the careful control slipped and she saw something that looked like disappointment, or maybe fear. "Then you tell me no and we both move forward with our original plans. And you marry Victoria? Eventually, or someone like her." "That sounds miserable." "Most things are." Lena gathered the documents and stood. Her legs felt unsteady. "I'll call you in a few days." "Lena?" She turned. "Whatever you decide, you keep your job. That doesn't change. You're good at what you do. I'm not losing you as an assistant regardless of what happens with this." Something about that statement cracked through her defenses. The idea that he valued her work independent of this insane proposal, that she had worth beyond her current desperation. "Thank you," she said. She left his office and took the elevator down 47 floors, walked out into the Chicago night with a briefcase full of legal documents that might determine the rest of her life. Her phone rang. Her mother. Lena almost didn't answer, then reconsidered. "Hi, Mom." "Lena, we need to talk about your situation." Her situation, not her pregnancy, not her baby. Her situation, like it was a problem to be managed rather than a life beginning. "I'm handling it," Lena said. "How? You haven't told us your plan. Your father is worried. I'm worried. I'm figuring it out." "You can't raise a baby alone, not on your salary, not in that neighborhood." "I know." "So what are you going to do?" Lena looked at the briefcase in her hand, at the documents inside that offered a solution so bizarre it might actually work. "I might have an option." "What option?" "I can't explain yet, but I'm working on something." Her mother sighed. The sound carried disappointment and exhaustion, and the weight of sacrifices Lena would never fully understand. "You need to be realistic. This isn't a fairy tale. Babies need stability. They need two parents." "I know, Mom." "Do you? Because you're acting like you can do this alone through sheer determination. That's not how life works." Lena closed her eyes. "What do you want me to do?" Silence. Then, quietly, "I want you to think about whether you're making this decision for the right reasons." "And what are the right reasons?" "Not loneliness, not desperation, not because you think this is your last chance. What if it is my last chance? Then maybe you should consider that there are worse things than not having children." The words hit like a slap. Lena's throat tightened. "I have to go." "Lena." She ended the call, stood on the sidewalk and let the city noise wash over her. Car horns, distant sirens, the rumble of the train overhead, all the sounds of other people's lives continuing while hers hung in suspension. She went home, spread the documents across her coffee table, stared at them until the words blurred together. At midnight, she called the number Ethan had given her for his attorney's recommended counsel. Left a voicemail. Fell asleep on the couch with the prenup open on her chest. The attorney called back at 9 the next morning. Her name was Margaret Chen, and her voice carried the brisk efficiency of someone who billed by the minute and didn't waste any of them. "Mr. Cole's office contacted me about your situation," Margaret said. "I've reviewed the preliminary documents. We should meet as soon as possible." They met that afternoon at Margaret's office. The space was all glass and steel and degrees framed on walls. Margaret herself was 50-something, sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Lena's rent. "Let me be direct," Margaret said after the pleasantries. "This arrangement is unusual but not unprecedented. High-net-worth individuals often enter marriages with comprehensive agreements. What concerns me is the power imbalance. Between me and Ethan, between you and his resources. You're pregnant, financially vulnerable, and emotionally compromised. Any agreement you sign now could be challenged later as having been made under duress. I'm not being forced into anything. Legally, that's debatable. You're facing homelessness, loss of health care, and single parenthood. Mr. Cole is offering a solution that addresses all of those pressures. A court might view that as coercive." Lena hadn't considered that angle. "So what do I do?" "We make the agreement ironclad in your favor. We build in protections that ensure you can't be exploited or discarded. We make sure that if this marriage ends for any reason, you and your children are provided for." Children, plural, because James would be hers too. They spent 3 hours going through the documents. Margaret made notes, asked questions, pushed back on clauses that favored Ethan too heavily. By the end, Lena's head throbbed and her stomach churned. "One more thing," Margaret said as Lena prepared to leave. "Have you thought about what happens if you fall in love with him?" The question caught Lena off guard. "What?" "You'll be living together, raising children together, playing the role of wife. People have fallen in love in stranger circumstances. What happens to this carefully negotiated agreement if real feelings develop? That's not going to happen. You can't know that. He's my boss. This is a business arrangement. He'll be your husband. That changes things." Lena shook her head. "He loved his wife. He's not looking for that again. And you?" "I'm not looking for anything except stability for my baby." Margaret's expression suggested she didn't entirely believe that, but she let it drop. "I'll draft revisions. We'll send them to Mr. Cole's attorney. Expect negotiation." The negotiations took 2 weeks, back and forth. Clauses added, removed, modified. Lena watched the agreement evolve from Ethan's original offer into something that protected her in ways she hadn't imagined needing protection. During those 2 weeks, life continued in surreal parallel tracks. Lena still came to work, still organized Ethan's schedule, still answered his calls and managed his meetings. But now there was a strange weight to every interaction. Every "yes, Mr. Cole" felt like practice for something bigger. They didn't talk about the agreement at the office, maintained perfect professional distance, but sometimes Lena would catch him looking at her with an expression she couldn't read. Calculation mixed with something that might have been curiosity. At 10 weeks pregnant, Lena started showing, just slightly, a thickening around her middle that she could hide with the right clothes but couldn't ignore in the mirror. She went to her second prenatal appointment alone, sat in the waiting room surrounded by couples, watched fathers-to-be place protective hands on their partners' backs, and felt the loneliness settle deeper. The ultrasound tech was cheerful, too cheerful. "Dad couldn't make it today? He's not involved." The tech's smile faltered. "Oh, well, let's see how baby's doing." The image on the screen had changed. No longer a blob, now something recognizably human. Arms, legs, a head with the suggestion of a face. "Everything looks good," the tech said. "Strong heartbeat, measuring right on track. Do you want to know the sex?" "Can you tell already?" "Not definitively, but I can make an educated guess if you want." Lena hesitated. "Not yet." She left the clinic with printouts of the ultrasound and a prescription for prenatal vitamins she couldn't quite afford, sat in her car and looked at the images. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. "Final agreement is ready. Meet tomorrow to sign." Lena looked at the ultrasound, at the tiny human who would be here in 6 months, at the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. She typed back, "Okay." The signing happened in a conference room with Margaret, Ethan's attorney, and a notary public who looked bored despite witnessing what was probably the strangest prenup of her career. Lena signed. Ethan signed, lawyers signed, papers were shuffled and filed and copied. "Congratulations," Margaret said dryly. "You're engaged." Ethan looked at Lena. "We should probably make it official." "Isn't this official?" Lena gestured at the pile of legal documents. "I meant the engagement, publicly." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. Lena's heart jumped. "You bought a ring?" "It's expected." He opened the box. Inside sat a diamond that caught the light and threw it back in sharp fragments. Beautiful. Expensive. Completely impersonal. "I can exchange it if you don't like it," Ethan said. "It's fine." "You hate it." "I don't hate it. It's a lot." "Would you prefer something different?" Lena looked at the ring, at Ethan, at the lawyers watching this transaction disguised as romance. "Can I be honest? Please? This feels wrong. The ring, the performance. This isn't a real engagement." "It is legally. You know what I mean." Ethan closed the box. "What would make it feel less wrong?" "I don't know. Maybe if we'd talked about what kind of ring I'd want. If we'd picked it together. If it felt like a choice instead of a checkbox." Something shifted in Ethan's expression. "You're right. I approach this like a business acquisition. Because that's what it is. It doesn't have to be only that. He stood. Come with me. Where? You'll see. They left the lawyers in the conference room and took Ethan's car to a jewelry store Lena had walked past 1,000 times but never entered. The kind of place with security guards and display cases that looked like museum exhibits. The staff recognized Ethan immediately. Of course they did. A manager appeared, all smiles and deference. Mr. Cole, how can we help you today? We're looking for an engagement ring, Ethan said. Then he turned to Lena. What do you want? The question should have been simple. Instead, it felt impossible. What did she want? In a ring? In a marriage? In a life that had veered so far from any plan she'd ever made? I don't know, she admitted. The manager guided them to a private room, brought out trays of rings that probably cost more than cars, diamonds in every cut and setting imaginable. Lena felt paralyzed. They all looked the same, beautiful, expensive, wrong. What about this one? Ethan held up a ring with a simple solitaire, classic, elegant, boring. It's nice, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like me. What feels like you? Lena looked at the trays, at the endless options that all somehow felt like they belonged to someone else's life. Can I see something different? Not a diamond. The manager hesitated. We have some alternative stones, sapphires, emeralds. What about that one? Lena pointed to a ring tucked in the corner of the case, simple gold band with a deep blue stone that caught light differently than the diamonds. The manager brought it out. This is a Montana sapphire, less traditional for an engagement ring, but beautiful. Ethan picked it up, looked at Lena. Try it on. She did. The ring slid onto her finger and something clicked. Not love, not romance, but rightness. Like this particular object had been waiting for her. I like this one, she said. Then it's yours. But it's not what people expect. Do you care what people expect? Lena looked at the ring, at Ethan, at the bizarre situation they'd created together. No, I guess I don't. The manager processed the sale. Ethan added a matching wedding band. Lena watched it all happen in a daze, still not quite believing this was real. In the car afterward, Lena looked at the ring on her finger. The sapphire caught streetlight and turned it into something deeper. Thank you, she said. For what? For asking what I wanted. It's your ring. You should like it. Most men would have just bought the biggest diamond and called it done. I'm not most men. No, Lena agreed. You're really not. They drove in silence for a while. Then Ethan spoke. We need to talk about logistics. Okay. The wedding should happen soon before you show, obviously. The story will be complicated enough without adding visible pregnancy. What is the story? That we've been seeing each other quietly. That the engagement to Victoria ended by mutual agreement. That we're keeping things private. People won't believe it. People will speculate. Let them. As long as we're consistent, the truth doesn't matter. Lena turned the ring on her finger. When were you thinking? 2 weeks? Small ceremony. Immediate family only. We can do something larger later if you want. 2 weeks? Lena's voice went up. That's not enough time to plan a wedding. I have people who plan things. They'll handle it. I don't want strangers planning my wedding. Then tell me what you want, and I'll make it happen. What did she want? The question kept coming, and Lena kept not having answers. She'd spent so long focused on survival that desire felt like a foreign language. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course. But thinking about it turned out to be harder than she expected. Every time Lena tried to picture the wedding, her mind went blank, or worse, filled with images of her mother's disappointed face. She still hadn't told her parents, hadn't found the words to explain that she was marrying her boss in an arrangement that would sound insane to anyone outside the situation. The call came on Saturday. Lena sat in her apartment staring at her mother's contact, trying to find courage in the space between rings. Mom, she said when her mother answered, I need to tell you something. You're keeping the baby. Not a question, a statement heavy with resignation. Yes, but that's not... There's something else. What? I'm getting married. Silence. long enough that Lena checked to make sure the call hadn't dropped. Mom? To who? Her mother's voice was carefully controlled, the same tone she used when she was trying not to explode. His name is Ethan Cole. He's successful, stable. He wants to help raise the baby. The father changed his mind? No, Ethan isn't the biological father. He's someone else. Someone else? Her mother repeated the words like they were in a foreign language. You're marrying someone else? Someone who isn't the father of your child? Yes. How long have you known this person? Lena swallowed. 14 months. And he wants to marry you, knowing you're pregnant with another man's baby? Yes. Lena. Her mother's voice cracked. What are you doing? This is insane. You can't marry someone just because you're desperate. I'm not desperate. I'm being practical. Practical? You sound like you're selling yourself. The accusation hit harder than Lena expected. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain to me how this makes sense. Lena tried, talked about stability, about security, about providing for her child, about Ethan's son needing a mother. She left out the legal agreements and the negotiated terms and the fact that love wasn't part of the equation. Her mother listened, didn't interrupt. When Lena finished, the silence stretched. Does he love you? Her mother asked finally. We care about each other. That's not what I asked. Love isn't everything, Mom. No, but it's something. And without it, marriage is it's just a contract. Maybe that's all marriage should be. Clear expectations, no illusions. Her mother sighed. When is this wedding? 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Lena. I know it's fast, but we want to keep it private. Private. Because you're ashamed. Because we want it to be about us, not about public opinion. And you want us there? At this private wedding where our daughter marries a stranger? Lena's throat tightened. He's not a stranger to me. 14 months. You've known him 14 months. That's not enough time to know someone well enough to marry them. People get married faster than that all the time. And people get divorced. Lena, I'm trying to understand, but this sounds like a mistake. A huge mistake. Maybe, Lena said quietly. But it's my mistake to make. Her mother was quiet for a long time. Then, send me his information. Your father will want to meet him before the wedding. Okay. And Lena, I hope you know what you're doing. Because once you marry him, once he adopts that baby, you're tied to him forever. You can't undo this. I know. After the call ended, Lena sat in silence, wondered if her mother was right, if she was making a catastrophic mistake, if desperation was masquerading as practicality. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. My parents want to meet you. Dinner tomorrow? Lena stared at the message. She'd forgotten Ethan had parents, had family beyond James, people who would have opinions about this sudden engagement to his assistant. She typed back, Okay, what should I know? The response came quickly. They're traditional, conservative, they won't understand this arrangement. We tell them we fell in love. Simple story. Fell in love. The lie felt heavy even in text form. What if they don't believe it? Lena wrote. They will if we sell it. Sell it. Like love was a product to be marketed. The dinner happened at Ethan's parents' house. Not a house, really. An estate. The kind of place that had a name instead of an address. Lena wore the nicest dress she owned and still felt underdressed. Ethan picked her up himself, driving them out to the suburbs in a car that probably cost more than her annual salary. Are you nervous? He asked. Terrified. They'll love you. You can't know that. My mother will love that you're not Victoria. That's enough. The house appeared at the end of a long driveway. Georgian architecture, manicured lawn, the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself because it had been there for generations. Ethan's mother answered the door herself. Catherine Cole was elegant in that way wealth enabled. Perfect posture, perfect hair, perfect smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Ethan. She kissed her son's cheek, then turned to Lena. And you must be Lena. Come in. The interior matched the exterior. Antiques that probably predated the Civil War. Art that belonged in museums. A grandfather clock ticking away seconds that felt like hours. Ethan's father appeared from a study. Richard Cole was older, grayer, but had the same careful control Ethan wore like armor. "So you're the girl who stole my son from the Ashford marriage," Richard said. It wasn't quite an accusation, not quite a joke either. "Dad," Ethan said quietly, "I'm just stating facts. The Ashford deal was solid. This is unexpected." "Richard," Catherine said with the particular sharpness of a wife correcting her husband, "let's sit. Dinner will be ready soon." They gathered in a living room that felt like a museum exhibit. Lena perched on a sofa that probably cost more than her car and tried not to look as out of place as she felt. "So Lena," Catherine said, "Ethan tells us you work for him. I'm his executive assistant." "How lovely. And how long have you been seeing each other?" Lena glanced at Ethan. This was where the lie began. "A few months," Ethan said smoothly. "We tried to keep it professional, but—" He reached over and took Lena's hand. The gesture looked natural, practiced. "Some things can't be helped." "How romantic," Catherine said. The word carried multiple meanings. Richard leaned back. "Bit sudden, isn't it? The engagement?" "When you know," Ethan said. "That's what you said about Elizabeth." The name landed like a stone in still water. Elizabeth, Ethan's late wife, the ghost in every room. "Dad, I'm not criticizing, just observing." Richard looked at Lena. "You understand you'll be compared to her. Fair or not, that's what will happen." "I'm not trying to replace anyone," Lena said quietly. "Good. Because you couldn't." Richard's voice wasn't cruel, just factual. She was special. She was, Ethan agreed. His hand tightened slightly on Lena's. "This is different." "Different how?" "Different because Lena is Lena, not Elizabeth, not Victoria. Herself." Something in that statement felt more honest than anything else they'd said. Dinner was served in a dining room with a table long enough to seat 12. Just the four of them gathered at one end, making the space feel even larger and emptier. The food was excellent. The conversation was careful. Catherine asked about Lena's family. Richard asked about her education. Both asked questions designed to assess whether she was appropriate for their son. Lena answered honestly where she could and vaguely where she couldn't. Talked about her parents' immigration story, her education, her work, left out the pregnancy and the desperation and the legal agreements. "And children?" Catherine asked. "Do you want children?" Lena nearly choked on her wine. Ethan's hand found hers under the table. "Eventually," Lena managed. "James needs siblings," Catherine said. "He's too isolated. A child needs playmates." "He has friends at school," Ethan said. "That's not the same as family." The conversation moved on, but Lena's heart hammered. In 6 months, James would have a sibling. Catherine would have another grandchild, and they'd all have to navigate the truth that Lena's baby wasn't biologically Ethan's. After dinner, Catherine pulled Lena aside while Ethan and Richard talked business. "Walk with me," Catherine said. They went out to the garden. Even in early spring, it was immaculate. Someone had planned beauty with the precision of an architect. "You're pregnant," Catherine said. Lena froze. "How?" "You didn't drink wine. You picked at dinner. You have that particular glow." Catherine's voice was matter-of-fact. "I've had 3 children. I know the signs." "Does Ethan know you know?" "Does it matter?" Catherine turned to face her. "Is it his?" The question hung between them. Lena could lie, should lie, but something about Catherine's direct gaze made deception feel pointless. "No," Lena said, "but he's going to claim it." "Yes." Catherine nodded slowly. "And the biological father? Not involved. Doesn't want to be." "I see." Catherine walked a few steps, touched a rosebush that hadn't bloomed yet. "My son loved his wife very much. When she died, something in him died too. He stopped believing in things that weren't tangible, practical. He built walls so high I wasn't sure anyone would ever get through them." "I know about Elizabeth," Lena said quietly. "Do you? Do you know that he didn't sleep for 3 months after she died? That he threw himself into work so he wouldn't have to feel anything? That James was 8 months old and Ethan could barely look at him because he looked so much like his mother?" Lena hadn't known any of that. No. My son is broken in ways he'll never admit. And you, Catherine looked at her, you're in some kind of trouble, desperate enough to accept this arrangement. It's not just desperation. What else is it? I don't know yet. Maybe it could be something real. Real, Catherine repeated. Real requires honesty. Are you being honest with him? As honest as we're being with each other. That's not very honest at all, then, is it? They stood in silence. The garden smelled like earth and possibility. I won't tell Richard, Catherine said finally. He'll find out eventually, but not from me. But Lena, if you're going to do this, if you're going to marry my son and raise his child and bring another child into this family, you'd better be all in. Half measures will destroy you both. I know. I don't think you do, but you will. They went back inside, found Ethan and Richard still talking business. Lena caught Ethan's eye and something passed between them. A question. She gave the smallest nod. Your mother knows. He returned the nod. Understood. The drive home was quiet. Lena watched the suburbs give way to the city, watched the houses get smaller and closer together until they became apartment buildings stacked like boxes. That went well, Ethan said. Your mother knows I'm pregnant. I figured she would. She didn't tell your father. She won't. How do you know? Because she understands complicated situations better than he does. Ethan glanced at her. Are you okay? I don't know. Your mother basically said we're both broken and using each other. She's not wrong. The admission should have stung. Instead, it felt like relief. The truth laid out plainly. What happens when the brokenness doesn't fit together? Lena asked. We figure it out. That's what people do. Most people have love to smooth over the rough edges. And we have honesty. Maybe that's better. Lena wasn't sure she believed that, but she wanted to believe that two people could build something solid on a foundation of practical arrangements and shared need. Ethan pulled up in front of her building. The wedding is in 12 days. We need to finalize details. Okay. And Lena, you should start packing. After we're married, you'll move into my house. There's no point maintaining two residences. The reality hit her. In less than 2 weeks, she'd be living in Ethan's house, sharing space with him and James, playing wife and mother in a home that would never quite feel like hers. Right, she said. I'll start packing. She got out of the car, watched him drive away, went inside to her small apartment that would soon belong to her former life. On her coffee table sat a stack of boxes she'd ordered for packing. Beside them, the ultrasound images, evidence of the choice she'd already made, whether she was ready for the consequences or not. Lena put her hand on her stomach, felt the future growing there, wondered if she was brave or foolish or both. 12 days until she became Lena Cole. 12 days until practical became permanent. 12 days until she found out if broken pieces could build something whole. The photographs appeared online 6 days before the wedding. Lena was packing her apartment when her phone started buzzing with notifications she didn't recognize. Twitter mentions, Instagram tags, messages from numbers she'd never seen. She opened the first link with hands that had gone cold. The headline read, Coal Empire Heir Ditches Ashford Heiress for Mystery Woman. Below it, 3 photos. Lena and Ethan leaving the jewelry store. Lena and Ethan at his parents' house. And worst of all, a zoomed-in shot of Lena's hand wearing the sapphire ring, captioned with speculation about a secret engagement. Her phone rang. Ethan. Don't look at it, he said before she could speak. Too late. Are you okay? No. Who took these? Paparazzi. Someone tipped them off about Victoria and me splitting. They've been following me. Following you? For how long? Does it matter? The damage is done. Lena sat down hard on her couch. The comments under the articles were vicious. People calling her a gold digger, a home wrecker, speculating about how long she'd been sleeping with her boss. The words blurred together into a chorus of judgment from strangers who knew nothing about her actual life. Lena, talk to me. They're calling me. They're saying I... Her voice cracked. Don't read the comments, ever. That's rule 1. There are rules for this? There are always rules. Ethan's voice stayed calm, steady. I'm sending a car. Pack what you need for a few days. You're staying at my house until this dies down. I can't just... Yes, you can. This is non-negotiable. The press knows where you live. They'll camp outside your building. As if on cue, Lena looked out her window and saw a man with a camera across the street. Her stomach dropped. There's already someone here. Then go out the back. The car will be there in 10 minutes. Grab essentials and leave. We'll get the rest later. Lena moved on autopilot, threw clothes into a bag, grabbed her toiletries, the ultrasound images, her laptop, moved through her apartment like she was fleeing a crime scene. The back exit led to an alley that smelled like garbage and broken dreams. A black SUV idled at the end. The driver, a large man who introduced himself as Marcus, took her bag and got her into the back seat before any cameras could find them. The drive to Ethan's house took 30 minutes through traffic that felt designed to maximize her anxiety. Lena watched the city change through the windows, watched the buildings spread out and the lots grow larger until they reached a neighborhood where houses had gates and privacy hedges tall enough to block out the world. Ethan's house sat at the end of a quiet street. Not the largest on the block, but substantial. Modern architecture, clean lines. The kind of place that belonged in design magazines. He was waiting at the door when Marcus pulled up, came down the steps, and opened her door himself. "You okay?" he asked. Define okay. He almost smiled. "Fair enough. Come inside." The interior matched the exterior. Minimalist, expensive, everything in its place with the precision of someone who controlled his environment completely. Lena felt her worn duffel bag drag down her shoulder like an anchor to a different world. "I'll show you to your room," Ethan said. "My room? You'll need your own space. I converted one of the guest rooms." They climbed stairs to the second floor, walked down a hallway lined with abstract art that probably cost more than Lena's student loans. Ethan opened a door to a bedroom that was bigger than her entire apartment. "Bathroom's through there," he said, pointing. "Closet's empty. You can set up however you want. If you need anything changed, tell me." Lena set down her bag, looked around at space that felt both generous and impersonal. "Where's James?" "With his nanny, Rebecca. She's been with us for 3 years. She has an apartment above the garage." "Does he know about me?" "He knows I'm getting married. He doesn't understand what that means." "When do I meet him?" "Tonight. Dinner. If you're up for it." Lena nodded. Her phone buzzed again. More notifications. More strangers weighing in on her life. Ethan gently took the phone from her hand. "Let me see this." He scrolled through the articles. His expression didn't change, but something tightened around his eyes. "This is worse than I expected." "How much worse?" "They're digging. Someone leaked that you're my assistant. That's going to create a narrative." "What narrative?" "That I was having an affair. That I left Victoria for you. That you seduced your way into this marriage." The words hit like physical blows. "But that's not... We didn't... I know. But truth doesn't matter to these people. Story matters. And the story they're building is toxic." "So what do we do?" Ethan handed back her phone. "We accelerate the timeline, get married tomorrow instead of waiting." "Tomorrow?" "The longer we wait, the worse this gets. If we're already married when the full story breaks, it's harder to attack. Marriage makes it legitimate." "Marriage makes it legal. That's not the same as legitimate." "In this world, it is." Ethan looked at her. "I know this isn't what you signed up for. The public scrutiny, the media circus. I'm sorry." "You're apologizing?" "I should have anticipated this. Should have protected you better." The vulnerability in his voice caught her off guard. For the first time since this started, Ethan looked uncertain, almost lost. "It's not your fault," Lena said. "It's absolutely my fault. I brought you into this world. I should have known they'd come after you. I'm not some damsel who needs protecting. No, you're a pregnant woman who's being called a whore on the internet by people who don't know you. You deserve better." The blunt honesty of it broke something in Lena. She sat on the edge of the too-big bed and tried not to cry. Failed. Ethan stood there awkwardly. "I'm not good at this part." "What part?" "Comfort. Emotional support. Elizabeth used to say I had the emotional range of a tax form." Despite everything, Lena laughed. Wet and broken, but a laugh. "That's pretty accurate." "I know. But I'm trying." He sat next to her. Not touching. Just present. "We can do this tomorrow. Quick ceremony. Courthouse. Just us and witnesses. Or we can wait and weather the storm. Your choice." Lena wiped her eyes. If we get married tomorrow, do I still get to meet James first? Of course. Then let's do it tomorrow. Ethan nodded. I'll make the arrangements. He left her alone in the guest room that would be hers for exactly one night before she became his wife. Lena unpacked her meager belongings into a closet designed for someone with an actual wardrobe, hung her 3 dresses next to empty space, and felt the weight of inadequacy settle deeper. Her phone rang, her mother. Lena almost didn't answer, but cowardice had limits. Mom, I saw the news. Her mother's voice was tight, controlled anger wrapped in Korean stoicism. You didn't tell me he was that Ethan Cole. Cole Properties, the billionaire. I didn't think it mattered. Didn't think it... Lena, everyone is talking about this. My friends are calling. They're asking if my daughter is the woman in the photos. If you're the one who destroyed the Cole-Ashford marriage. I didn't destroy anything. His engagement was already over. That's not how it looks. I don't care how it looks. Well, you should care. Because now everyone knows. Everyone is watching. Everyone is judging. Let them judge. This is easy for you to say now. Wait until you can't go anywhere without people whispering. Wait until your child grows up with everyone knowing their mother was what, Mom? Say it. Silence. Then quietly, was desperate enough to marry for money. The words landed like stones. Is that what you think? I think you're making a choice that will follow you forever. And I think you're doing it for reasons that have nothing to do with love. Maybe love isn't enough. Maybe it's never been enough. Then what are you building this marriage on? Honesty, mutual need, practical solutions to real problems. That's not a marriage. That's a business arrangement. Maybe that's all marriage should be. Her mother sighed. When is the wedding? Tomorrow. Tomorrow? Lena, I know it's fast, but with the media attention, we need to... It's complicated. Do you want us there? The question hung between them. Did she? Did she want her parents to witness her marrying a man she barely knew in a ceremony stripped of any romance? Did she want them to see her make this choice that they thought was a mistake? I don't know, Lena admitted. Then I'll make it easy for you. We won't come. Your father isn't ready to watch this, and I can't pretend to support something I think is wrong. Mom, but Lena, I'm still your mother, and when this falls apart, when you need someone, I'll be here. We'll be here. The call ended. Lena sat holding her phone and feeling the sting of her mother's conditional support. Love wrapped in disapproval. Help offered with the assumption of failure. A knock on the door pulled her from the spiral. Come in. Ethan opened the door. Dinner's ready. James is asking about you. Lena's stomach flipped. What did you tell him? That a friend is visiting, that she's nice, that he should use his manners. Does he know I'm staying? Not yet. One thing at a time. They went downstairs to a dining room with a table set for 3. A small boy sat in a chair, swinging his legs. He had Ethan's dark hair and eyes that must have been his mother's, green and curious and taking in everything. James, Ethan said, this is Lena. The boy looked at her. Hi. Hi, James. It's nice to meet you. You're pretty. The simple statement delivered with 4-year-old honesty made Lena smile. Thank you. You're pretty handsome yourself. James grinned. Daddy says you're having dinner with us. Is that okay? Yeah, we usually just eat with Rebecca. It's more fun with more people. They sat. Rebecca, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and efficient movements, brought out food. Nothing fancy. Chicken fingers, mac and cheese. The kind of dinner that acknowledged a 4-year-old's preferences. James talked through the meal. About his preschool, his toy dinosaurs, a show he liked about talking trains. Lena listened and responded and felt something unexpected unfold in her chest. This kid was sweet, unguarded, still young enough to accept new people without suspicion. Are you Daddy's friend? James asked. Lena glanced at Ethan. Yes, I work with your dad. Do you like working? Most of the time. I don't like school. It's boring. James, Ethan said quietly. We've talked about this. But it is boring. We just color and sing songs. That's what preschool is. When do we learn real things? Ethan almost smiled. You're learning real things, social skills, following directions. James made a face. Lena bit back a laugh. After dinner, James wanted to show Lena his room. They climbed the stairs, James leading, talking nonstop about his toys. His room was organized chaos. Educational toys mixed with regular kid stuff. Books on shelves, a small desk with art supplies. "This is Gerald," James said, holding up a stuffed elephant. "He's my best friend." Gerald's a good name for an elephant. Daddy let me name him. Rebecca wanted to call him something else, but I said no. It's important to name your own friends. James nodded seriously, then looked at her. "Are you going to be here tomorrow?" "Maybe. Would that be okay?" "Yeah, it's less lonely with more people." The statement, delivered so casually, hit Lena hard. This house was big and beautiful and desperately lonely. A little boy and his father, and a nanny, and too much empty space. "I should let you get ready for bed," Lena said. "Will you read me a story?" She looked at Ethan, who'd been standing in the doorway watching. He gave the smallest nod. "Sure," Lena said. "Pick a book." James chose a story about a bear who couldn't sleep. Lena read it while he climbed into bed and cuddled Gerald. By the last page, his eyes were drooping. "Thanks for the story," he mumbled. "You're welcome." "You're nice. I hope you come back." Lena's throat tightened. "Me too." She and Ethan left the room, stood in the hallway while Rebecca went in for final bedtime duties. "He likes you," Ethan said. "He's a good kid. He doesn't warm up to people easily. It took Victoria 3 visits before he talked to her. Maybe because he could tell she didn't really want to be here." "Probably." Ethan looked toward James's room. "He needs more than I'm giving him, more than Rebecca can give him. He needs a mother." "Yeah." They stood in silence. The weight of what they were about to do settled between them like a third presence. "Are you sure about tomorrow?" Lena asked. "No, but I'm sure about this being necessary." "That's not very romantic." "I never promised you romance." "I know. Still, getting married at a courthouse because of a media scandal. It's pretty bleak. We could add flowers. Make it slightly less bleak." Lena smiled despite everything. "Flowers would help." "Then I'll get flowers." She went back to her room, tried to sleep, couldn't. At 2 in the morning, she gave up and went downstairs for water. Found Ethan in the kitchen, sitting in the dark with his own glass. "Can't sleep either?" she asked, thinking. "About?" "Whether I'm doing the right thing. Asking you to do this." Lena sat across from him. "Little late for second thoughts?" "Never too late until the papers are signed. You want to call it off?" "Do you?" "I asked first." Ethan set down his glass. "No, I don't want to call it off, but I want to make sure you understand what you're agreeing to. This isn't going to get easier. The media attention will get worse before it gets better. People will judge you, attack you, question your motives." "I know." "And in 6 months, when the baby comes, they'll do the math. They'll figure out the timeline doesn't match our public story. They'll speculate, dig, try to find the biological father." Lena's hand went to her stomach. "Can they?" "If he wants to be found. If he comes forward." "He won't. He made it clear he wants nothing to do with this. People change their minds when money enters the equation." The thought hadn't occurred to her, that the man who'd blocked her number might suddenly reappear if he realized she was married to a billionaire, that her child might become leverage in a game she didn't know how to play. "What do we do if that happens?" she asked. "We deal with it, together. That's what the adoption papers are for. Once I'm legally the father, his biological claim becomes complicated. But not impossible. Nothing's impossible, but we make it difficult enough that it's not worth pursuing." Lena took a drink of water. "Your life is exhausting." "Welcome to it. Is it always like this? Always calculating risk and managing threats?" "Yes, since I was old enough to understand that wealth makes you a target." Ethan looked at her. "You're about to become a target too. Are you ready for that?" "No, but I don't think anyone's ever really ready." "Fair point." They sat in the dark kitchen. Outside, the city hummed with distant life. Inside, 2 people who barely knew each other prepared to permanently intertwine their futures. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said. "Always." "Do you ever regret it? The money? The empire? All of it?" Ethan considered. "Sometimes. When I look at James and realize he'll never have a normal childhood. When I realize I can't go anywhere without security concerns. When I watch people change around me once they know who I am." But it also gave me the ability to help you, to help your baby, to provide a life for James that includes every opportunity. So no, overall, I don't regret it. Even though it cost you Elizabeth? The name hung between them. The ghost they both knew was there, but rarely acknowledged. Money didn't cost me Elizabeth. Cancer did. But maybe if you'd had more time with her, if you'd worked less, then we would have had a few more hours together before she died anyway. There's no version of that story where I get to keep her. The flatness in his voice said he'd traveled this road before, had worn grooves in the pavement of his grief until it became just another route he knew by heart. I'm sorry, Lena said. Don't be. It's just reality. We had 4 years. She was sick for one of them. That's what I got. Wishing for more doesn't change it. Does it get easier? No, you just get better at carrying it. Lena thought about the baby growing inside her, about the future she was building on practical foundations instead of love. What if I'm terrible at this? Being a mother, being a wife? Then you'll figure it out, same as everyone else. What if I can't? You will. You're already doing it. You read James a story tonight. He fell asleep smiling. That's the job. That's not the whole job. No, but it's the part that matters. They finished their water in silence. Eventually, Lena stood. I should try to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a mess. Yeah. You always this optimistic? I prefer realistic. There's a difference? Sometimes. Lena went back upstairs, lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow she'd be Lena Cole, would wear a ring that meant forever, would promise to love and honor a man she was still learning to understand. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I saw the news. Congratulations on landing the Billionaire. Guess you didn't need me after all. She stared at the message, recognized the tone if not the number. The biological father had unblocked her, was reaching out with what passed for congratulations wrapped in bitterness. Lena typed back, "Don't contact me again." But the response came immediately. That's my kid you're passing off as his. I have rights. Her hand shook. She called Ethan. What's wrong? He answered on the first ring. He texted me. The father, he saw the news. He's talking about rights. Forward me the messages. She did. Heard Ethan typing. I'm sending this to my attorney. We'll file a cease and desist first thing tomorrow, after the wedding. What if he doesn't stop? Then we escalate. But Lena, this is exactly what we prepared for. This is why the adoption papers exist. This is why we're doing this. I know, but it's different when it's actually happening. Everything's different when it's actually happening. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we make it legal. Then he has nothing to stand on. Lena tried to sleep. Managed a few fitful hours. Woke to sunlight and the reality that this was her wedding day. She showered. Put on the only dress that seemed appropriate. A simple cream shift she'd bought for a friend's baby shower. It would have to do. Downstairs, Ethan was already dressed. Suit, no tie. He looked like he was heading to a business meeting, not a wedding. Ready? He asked. No, but let's go anyway. They took his car to the courthouse. Marcus drove. No press had figured out their plan yet, but it was only a matter of time. The ceremony was brief. A judge who'd clearly done this 1,000 times. 2 witnesses pulled from the courthouse staff, vows that were legally binding but emotionally empty. Lena said, I do, and meant I'm trying. Ethan said, I do, and meant this is necessary. The judge pronounced them married. They signed papers. The witnesses signed. It was done in less than 15 minutes. Congratulations, the judge said, perfunctory. You're legally married. Legally married, not happily married, not joyfully married, just legally bound. They walked out of the courthouse as husband and wife. Marcus waited with the car. That's it? Lena said. That's it. I thought I'd feel different. Do you? No, I feel exactly the same. Yeah, me too. They got in the car. Marcus pulled away from the courthouse. Lena looked at the ring on her finger, the sapphire that had felt right in the store, but now felt like evidence of a decision she couldn't undo. What now? She asked. Now we go home. Tell James. Start figuring out how this actually works. Home. The word felt foreign. Lena didn't have a home anymore. She had a room in Ethan's house, a place she was staying because she was legally his wife. Her phone buzzed, another message from the unknown number. "You think a piece of paper makes him the father? I'll see you in court." Lena showed it to Ethan. His jaw tightened. "Let him try," Ethan said. "I have lawyers who'd like nothing better than to destroy someone stupid enough to challenge me." The coldness in his voice should have been frightening. Instead, it was oddly comforting. For the first time in months, Lena wasn't facing her problems alone. She had someone who would fight, even if it was clinical, even if it was practical, even if it wasn't love. They pulled up to the house. James was playing in the yard with Rebecca. He saw the car and ran over. "You're back! Did you have fun?" Ethan got out, lifted James up. "We did, and we have something to tell you." "What?" "Lena and I got married today. She's going to live here now. With us." James looked at Lena, processing. "Like a mom?" The question hung in the air. Lena's throat closed. "Yeah," Ethan said quietly. "Like a mom." James considered this, then smiled. "Okay. Can we have ice cream to celebrate?" The pure 4-year-old logic of it broke the tension. Ethan laughed. "Yeah, we can have ice cream." They went inside. Rebecca produced ice cream. They sat at the kitchen table, Lena, Ethan, James, and ate dessert at 11 in the morning because it was a wedding day, even if it didn't feel like one. James chattered about dinosaurs. Lena and Ethan answered when appropriate, played their parts, husband and wife, parents, a family held together by legal documents and practical need. Outside, the world spun on. The media circled. The biological father plotted. Lena's mother disapproved from a distance. But inside in this kitchen, with ice cream melting on spoons, Lena let herself believe that maybe practical could become something more. Maybe broken pieces could build something that held. Maybe this impossible choice was the beginning of something neither of them could see yet. Or maybe it was just ice cream on a Thursday morning with a 4-year-old who didn't know that real families weren't supposed to start like this. Either way, it was done. She was Lena Cole now, for better or worse. The first night as a married couple, Lena and Ethan slept in separate rooms. Nobody had discussed it. It just happened. After James went to bed and Rebecca retreated to her apartment, Ethan had said goodnight in the hallway and disappeared into the master bedroom while Lena returned to the guest room that was apparently still hers. She lay awake wondering if this was how it would always be. Married but separate. Together but alone. A family in name only. The morning brought complications she hadn't anticipated. Lena woke to find her things had been moved during the night. Not to Ethan's room, but to a different bedroom entirely. Larger than the guest room. Decorated in soft grays and whites. A sitting area by the window. A bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. Rebecca was arranging toiletries when Lena walked in. "Mr. Cole thought you'd be more comfortable in the mistress suite," Rebecca said. The term felt archaic and wrong. "Where's Ethan's room?" "The master suite down the hall. You share a connecting door if you need it, but each room has privacy." So this was the arrangement. Separate but adjacent. Close enough to maintain appearances, far enough to maintain boundaries. Lena's clothes looked lost in the massive closet. Her 3 dresses, her work outfits, her worn jeans. They occupied maybe 5% of the available space. "Mr. Cole asked me to arrange for a stylist," Rebecca said, "to help you build a wardrobe appropriate for—" She gestured vaguely. "Everything. I don't need a stylist. With respect, Mrs. Cole, you'll be attending events, charity functions, business dinners. You'll need—" "I said I don't need a stylist." Rebecca's expression stayed neutral, professional. "Of course. I'll let Mr. Cole know." After Rebecca left, Lena sat on the edge of the bed that was now hers and tried to process the reality. She lived here now. This was her house. Her room. Her closet that needed filling with clothes she couldn't afford and didn't know how to choose. Her phone rang. Margaret Chen, her attorney. "I saw the marriage certificate was filed," Margaret said. "Congratulations." "Thanks. How are you holding up?" "I'm living in a house the size of a hotel with a husband who sleeps down the hall and a kid who thinks I'm nice because I read him one story. I'm great." The biological father has been served with the cease and desist. Lena's stomach dropped. "And?" "He's threatening to contest the adoption, claiming his parental rights were violated. Can he do that? He can try. It won't succeed. He abandoned you during the pregnancy, made clear he wanted no involvement. The adoption will go through, but it might get ugly first. How ugly? Public ugly. If he files in court, it becomes part of the public record. The media will find it, they'll report it. Your child's paternity will be headline news. Lena closed her eyes. When? Could be days, could be weeks. He's fishing for a settlement, wants money to go away quietly. Absolutely not. That's what I told Mr. Cole. He agrees. No settlements. We fight this. After the call ended, Lena went to find Ethan. He was in his home office, already dressed for work despite it being Saturday. The office was all dark wood and leather, books on shelves, a desk that probably cost more than a car. Your attorney called, Lena said from the doorway. Ethan looked up. I know. We spoke this morning. You didn't wake me. You needed sleep. I needed to know my ex is trying to sue for custody of a baby he told me to abort. Ethan set down his pen. Come in. Close the door. Lena did, sat across from him. He's not going to win, Ethan said. Margaret's right. His case is weak. He's fishing for money. And when he doesn't get it, he'll either give up or we crush him in court. Either way, the outcome is the same. He loses. The certainty should have been comforting. Instead, it highlighted how different their worlds were. Ethan fought battles with lawyers and unlimited resources. Lena had always fought battles alone with whatever scraps she could find. What if the media makes this about me? She asked. About us, about the timeline. Then we control the narrative. We release our own statement. We're honest about the timeline. We got married quickly because we're having a baby. We don't owe anyone explanations beyond that. People will do the math. Let them. We know the truth. The people who matter know the truth. Everyone else is noise. Lena twisted her new wedding band. They'd picked it up yesterday after the courthouse. Simple gold. It matched the sapphire engagement ring, but felt heavier somehow. I moved you to a different room, Ethan said. I should have asked first. It's fine. It's not fine. I made a decision about your living space without consulting you. That was wrong. The apology surprised her. I thought separate rooms was the arrangement. It is, but you should have said in which room, how it's decorated, what makes you comfortable. I don't know what makes me comfortable. I've never had space like this. Then figure it out. Change whatever you want. This is your home now. Your home. The words didn't feel real yet. Rebecca said something about a stylist, Lena said. You need clothes for events. I thought a professional could help. I don't want strangers dressing me like a doll. Fair enough. What do you want? I don't know. Time to figure this out. This is all happening so fast. Ethan nodded. Take the time you need. But Lena, there's a charity gala in 2 weeks. I have to attend. You'll need to come with me. That's part of this. Part of being your wife. Part of being a Cole. My mother will be there. My father. Business associates. Society people who've already formed opinions about you based on tabloid speculation. Sounds fun. It won't be. But it's necessary. Necessary. That word again. Everything in Ethan's world was necessary or practical or required. Nothing was just wanted or chosen or felt. I'll figure something out, Lena said. She left the office and wandered the house. It was strange being here during the day, learning the rhythms. James was in the playroom with Rebecca, building something elaborate with blocks. He saw Lena and waved. Want to help? Lena sat on the floor, accepted blocks, followed James's detailed instructions about where each piece should go. The castle they were building had specific architectural requirements only a 4-year-old could envision. Do you like living here? James asked. I just moved in. I'm still figuring it out. It's big. Sometimes I get lost. You get lost in your own house? Not really lost, but sometimes I forget which room is which. He placed a block carefully. Are you going to have a baby? The question caught Lena off guard. What makes you ask that? Rebecca said you have a baby in your tummy. Is that true? Lena glanced at Rebecca, who looked apologetic. I'm sorry. He overheard me on the phone. I should have been more careful. It's okay. Lena turned back to James. Yes, I'm going to have a baby. When? In about 6 months. Is it a boy or a girl? I don't know yet. I hope it's a boy. Then we can play together. Girls can play too. I know, but boys are better at dinosaurs. Lena smiled. I don't think that's true. They built the castle. James narrated an elaborate story about dragons and knights. Lena listened and contributed and felt something unexpected settle in her chest. This kid was easy to be around, uncomplicated in the way only small children could be. James, Lena said carefully, how do you feel about me being here? He considered this seriously. Good, it's nicer with you here. Daddy smiles more. He does? Yeah. He's usually serious, but yesterday at breakfast he smiled when you said something funny. Lena hadn't noticed. Hadn't thought Ethan was capable of smiling at breakfast. What about Rebecca? Lena asked. Are you worried I'll replace her? No, Rebecca is Rebecca. You're you. That's different. The simple logic of it made sense in a way adult complications never did. That afternoon, Lena forced herself to deal with practical matters. Called her landlord to break her lease, arranged for her few belongings to be moved, closed the chapter on her old apartment and the life she'd lived there. Her mother called while she was packing boxes over the phone with the moving company. So you went through with it, her mother said. No greeting. Yes. Oh, you're legally married to a man you barely know. I know him well enough. No, you don't. You know his schedule, his coffee order, how he likes his meetings organized. That's not the same as knowing someone. Maybe that's enough. Her mother sighed. Your father wants to meet him. Ethan, your husband. The word sounded foreign in her mother's mouth. Husband, like it belonged to someone else's story. When? Lena asked. Dinner, tomorrow night. We'll come to you. Your father doesn't trust restaurants for serious conversations. Mom, I don't think... Tomorrow at 7. We'll bring food. You provide the space and the explanations. The call ended before Lena could argue. She found Ethan in the living room reading something on his tablet. My parents want to come for dinner tomorrow. He looked up. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What else should I say? They're your parents. Of course they want to meet me. They're going to interrogate you. I expect nothing less. You're not worried. Should I be? My father is... He's protective, traditional. He's not going to understand this arrangement. Then we don't explain the arrangement. We explain that we're married, that we're having a child together, that we're building a family. You make it sound simple. It is simple. Everything else is details they don't need to know. The dinner happened on Sunday evening. Lena spent the afternoon anxious and useless. Rebecca offered to cook, but Lena's mother had been clear. She was bringing the food. A Korean feast, probably. Her mother's way of maintaining control in a situation where she had none. Lena's parents arrived exactly at 7. Her father carried containers of food. Her mother carried judgment barely concealed behind polite expressions. Ethan met them at the door, extended his hand. Mr. and Mrs. Hart, I'm Ethan. Thank you for coming. Lena's father shook his hand, studied him with the intensity of someone evaluating a business transaction, which, Lena supposed, wasn't far from the truth. Call me Joseph, her father said. This is my wife, Min Jung. They moved to the dining room. Her mother unpacked food, bulgogi, kimchi, japchae, rice. The familiar smells filled the unfamiliar space. James appeared, drawn by the activity. He stopped when he saw strangers. James, Ethan said. These are Lena's parents, Lena's mom and dad. Hi, James said quietly. Lena's mother's expression softened. Hello, you must be James. Lena told me about you. She did? She said you like dinosaurs. James nodded, suspicious but interested. I brought you something. Lena's mother pulled a small package from her bag. It's a toy from Korea, a traditional dragon, not quite a dinosaur, but close. James took it carefully, unwrapped it. His face lit up. Cool, thank you. You're welcome. The gesture surprised Lena. Her mother had brought a gift, had thought about James, had made an effort. They sat for dinner. The conversation was careful. Joseph asked Ethan about his business. Ethan answered precisely, gave details without oversharing, treated the interrogation like a business meeting. And your family? Joseph asked. They approve of this marriage? They're adjusting, Ethan said, as I imagine you are. We're concerned. Our daughter married quickly, to her employer, while pregnant with another man's child. You understand why we might have questions. Of course. So what are your intentions? Lena cringed. Dad, it's a fair question, Ethan said. He looked at Joseph directly. My intentions are to provide for Lena and our child, to give them stability, security, and a future without financial worry, to raise this baby as my own, to build a family. Without love? The question hung heavy. With respect, Ethan said carefully. With partnership, with commitment. Those things matter more than emotion. You think commitment without love is enough? I think love without commitment is worthless. I'd rather have the foundation than the feeling. Joseph sat back. Considered this. You loved your first wife. I did. And look where that led. The brutality of the statement shocked everyone. Lena's mother inhaled sharply. Joseph, she started. No, I'm making a point. Joseph looked at Ethan. You loved someone, lost her. Now you're building something practical with my daughter. That tells me you're afraid. And fear is not a foundation for marriage. Maybe not, Ethan agreed. But neither is desperation. And yet, here we are. Your daughter needed help. I could provide it. We made an arrangement that benefits both of us. Is that fear? Is that desperation? Or is it just practical? It's sad, Joseph said. Two people settling because they're broken. Dad, stop, Lena said. I won't stop. You're my daughter. You deserve better than this. Better than what? Better than security? Than a father for my child? Than a home and stability? Better than a marriage built on contracts instead of care. Maybe care grows from contracts, Lena said. Maybe building something together creates the feelings people think should come first. Her mother had been quiet through all of this. Now she spoke. Do you sleep in the same room? Lena's face went hot. Mom, it's a practical question. You're married. Are you? She gestured vaguely. Together? We have separate rooms, Ethan said. No embarrassment, just fact. So this is a business arrangement. This is a marriage with clear boundaries. We're both comfortable with the structure. And when one of you wants more, her mother asked, when feelings develop or don't develop, when this careful arrangement becomes complicated, then we negotiate, Ethan said. That same as any marriage. That's not the same. It's his needs. Most marriages end because people can't negotiate, can't communicate, can't agree on terms. We're doing that work up front. Joseph stood. I need air. He left the dining room. Lena's mother followed. Lena and Ethan sat in the wreckage of the conversation. That went well, Lena said. Could have been worse. How? Your father could have punched me. Despite everything, Lena almost laughed. He still might. They heard voices from the other room. Lena's parents arguing in Korean. She caught fragments, her mother defending, her father resisting. James appeared in the doorway, holding the dragon toy. Are they fighting? Just talking loudly, Ethan said. It's okay. They sound mad. Sometimes people sound mad when they're worried. What are they worried about? Ethan glanced at Lena. She nodded. They're worried about Lena, Ethan said. They want to make sure she's happy. Is she happy? The question from a 4-year-old hit harder than any of Joseph's accusations. I'm working on it, Lena said. James came over, climbed into her lap uninvited. It's okay if you're not happy yet. Sometimes it takes time. Lena hugged him, this small person who barely knew her but offered comfort anyway. Her parents returned. Joseph looked tired. Her mother looked resigned. We should go, Joseph said. Already? Lena asked. We said what needed saying. He looked at Ethan. Take care of my daughter. That's all I'm asking. I will. And the baby. When it comes. You'll love it like your own? It will be my own. Joseph nodded, extended his hand again. They shook. A truce, if not an acceptance. Her mother hugged Lena at the door, whispered in her ear, Call me when you need me, not if, when. After they left, the house felt emptier than before. Lena cleaned up the kitchen while Ethan put James to bed. The familiar rhythm of dishes and leftovers was grounding. Ethan found her at the sink. "Your father hates me," he said. "He doesn't hate you. He hates the situation." "Is there a difference?" "Probably not." Lena dried a plate. "Thank you for being patient with them. They're your family. Of course I was patient. Still, you didn't have to take the interrogation." "Yes, I did. That's what fathers do. Test the men their daughters marry. Make sure we're worthy." "And are you worthy?" Ethan leaned against the counter. "Probably not, but I'm trying." The honesty of it broke through Lena's defenses. "Yeah, me too." They stood in the kitchen, two people trying to build something from practical pieces, two people who barely knew each other but were committed to figuring it out. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of adjustment. Lena learned the house rhythms. When James woke up, when Ethan left for work, when Rebecca cooked, where things were kept, how to navigate space that still didn't quite feel like hers. She had her first prenatal appointment as a married woman. Ethan came with her, sat in the waiting room looking out of place among the couples. When they called Lena back, he followed. The doctor was professional, asked standard questions, didn't comment on the fact that Ethan clearly wasn't the biological father based on the dates. "Everything looks good," the doctor said, studying the ultrasound. "Baby's measuring perfectly. Heartbeat is strong. Do you want to know the sex?" Lena looked at Ethan. "Do we?" "Your choice." "I want to know." The doctor smiled. "It's a girl. A girl." Lena's eyes filled with tears she didn't expect. A daughter. She was having a daughter. Ethan's hand found hers, squeezed. "A girl." "James will be disappointed," Lena said. "He wanted a brother for dinosaurs." "He'll adapt?" In the car afterward, Ethan was quiet. Lena watched the city pass and wondered what he was thinking. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yeah, just processing." "Processing what?" "That I'm going to have a daughter. That in a few months there will be a baby girl in the house. That I'll need to—" He paused. "I don't know how to raise a daughter." "You don't know how to raise a son either. You just figured it out." "That's different. I am a son. I understand boy things." "There's no such thing as boy things or girl things. There's just kid things." Tell that to James and his dinosaur gender theories." Lena smiled. "Fair point." The gala was that weekend. Lena had finally broken down and hired a stylist after realizing she had nothing remotely appropriate. The woman who showed up was efficient and frighteningly knowledgeable about what society events required. "You need something elegant but not flashy," the stylist said. "Something that says you belong here without trying too hard." "I don't belong here." "Then we fake it. That's what fashion is for." They settled on a midnight blue gown. Simple lines. Elegant without being showy. Lena put it on the night of the gala and barely recognized herself in the mirror. Ethan appeared in her doorway. Stopped. Stared. "What?" Lena asked. "You look—" He paused. "Beautiful." The word hung between them. The first time he'd said anything like it. "Thank you," Lena managed. They drove to the gala in silence. Lena's anxiety built with every mile. By the time they arrived at the hotel, her hands were shaking. "Hey," Ethan said quietly. "Look at me." She did. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone in there. You're my wife. That's all that matters. Your wife who they all think married you for money. Let them think it. We know the truth." "Do we?" "Because sometimes I'm not sure what the truth is anymore." Ethan reached over, took her hand. "The truth is we're doing this together. Whatever happens in there, we face it together, okay?" Lena nodded. They walked into the gala, into a room full of people who turned to look, who whispered behind champagne glasses, who judged with every glance. Catherine Cole appeared first, kissed Ethan's cheek, looked at Lena. "You look lovely," Catherine said. Then quieter. "Stay close to me tonight. I'll run interference." The gesture surprised Lena. "Thank you. You're family now. We protect family." Richard Cole was less warm but civil. Victoria Ashford was thankfully absent, but her family was there. Lena felt their stares like physical things. Ethan kept his hand on her back. introduced her to people whose names she immediately forgot, navigated conversations with the ease of someone who'd spent his life in rooms like this. Lena smiled, nodded, said appropriate things, felt like an imposter in a dress that cost more than her monthly rent used to be. "You're doing great," Ethan whispered during a brief moment alone. "I'm dying inside." "That's normal. I've been dying inside at these things for years." "That's not comforting. It's honest." They made it through dinner, through speeches, through the endless networking that apparently constituted a charity event. Then the biological father's attorney released a statement. Lena's phone exploded with notifications. Ethan's did the same. They excused themselves and found a quiet corner. The statement claimed Ethan had stolen another man's child, that Lena had defrauded the biological father, that the marriage was a sham designed to circumvent parental rights. "They're trying to destroy us," Lena said. "They're trying to pressure us into settling. It won't work. Ethan, everyone in this room is going to see this. Then we leave. Right now. We go home. We deal with this from there." They found Catherine, explained. She nodded. "Go. I'll handle the gossip." In the car, Lena fell apart. The stress of the evening, combined with the statement, combined with the whole impossible situation, broke through her control. "I can't do this," she said. "I can't be that person, the society wife, the public figure. I can't." "You don't have to be anything except yourself. Myself isn't enough for that world. It's enough for me." The simple statement cut through her spiral. Lena looked at him. "Is it?" she asked. "Yes. I didn't marry you to turn you into someone else. I married you because you were real. Don't lose that trying to fit into a world that doesn't matter. It matters to you." "No, it matters to my business, to my family name, but you matter more than any of that." The confession seemed to surprise him as much as it surprised her. They drove home in silence, found James asleep with Rebecca reading in the living room, sent her home, stood in their own house trying to figure out what came next. "We fight," Ethan said finally. "We fight the statement. We fight the biological father. We fight anyone who tries to tear this apart." "Why?" "This was supposed to be practical, simple. Now it's a war." "Because somewhere along the way it stopped being just practical." Ethan looked at her. "At least for me." Lena's breath caught. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I care about you, about this, about us. Not because of contracts or arrangements, because you're—" He struggled for words. "Because you're you." It wasn't a declaration of love, it wasn't poetry, but it was honest, raw, real. "I care about you too," Lena admitted. "I didn't expect to, but I do." They stood there, husband and wife, two broken people who'd made an arrangement that was becoming something neither of them had planned for, something that might actually be real. The admission hung between them in the quiet house. Lena stood in her gala dress that suddenly felt too formal, too much, and watched Ethan watch her with an expression she'd never seen before. Vulnerability. The careful control had cracked, and something genuine was leaking through. "We should probably talk about this," Lena said finally. "Probably." But neither of them moved. The moment felt fragile, like speaking too directly might shatter whatever was forming between them. Ethan's phone buzzed, then Lena's, the world rushing back in with its demands and complications. "Margaret," Ethan said, looking at his screen. "She's sent a response strategy to the statement." They moved to the living room, sat on opposite ends of the couch with their phones, read through the legal team's recommendations for countering the biological father's claims. It was clinical, precise, everything their conversation moments ago had not been. "They want us to release our own statement," Lena said, explaining the timeline, making it public that you're adopting the baby. "Will that help or hurt?" "I don't know. Feels like we're feeding the circus, or controlling the narrative before someone else does." Ethan set down his phone. "What do you want to do?" "I want to tell him to go away and leave us alone, but that's not how this works, is it?" "No, unfortunately not." Lena's hand went to her stomach. At 15 weeks, she was definitely showing now. The baby, her daughter, was real in ways that made everything else feel small by comparison. "What if we just ignore it?" she asked. "Don't engage. Don't release statements. Let our lawyers handle it quietly." "The media won't let it stay quiet." "Then let them talk. We know the truth. The people who matter know the truth. Ethan considered this. You're sure? No, but I'm tired of performing for strangers. I'm tired of managing optics. Can't we just exist? Be married, raise our kids, let everything else be noise? Something in Ethan's expression softened. Yeah, we can do that. They sent a message to Margaret. No public statement. Handle the biological father's claims through legal channels only. Stop feeding the public narrative. Margaret called back immediately. Are you sure about this? Silence can be interpreted as guilt. Let them interpret it however they want, Ethan said. We're done playing their game. After the call, Lena changed out of the gala dress and into clothes that felt like hers. Came back downstairs to find Ethan had done the same. No suit, just jeans and a t-shirt. She'd never seen him this casual. You look different, she said. Good different or bad different? Human different. He almost smiled. Want some tea? I can't sleep yet. They ended up in the kitchen. Ethan made tea with the careful precision he brought to everything. Lena sat at the counter and watched him move through the space. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. Earlier, when you said you care about me, what did you mean? Ethan's hand stilled on the kettle. Exactly what it sounded like. But we agreed this was practical. An arrangement. We did. And it was. But Lena, he turned to face her. Somewhere between the courthouse wedding and tonight, it stopped being just an arrangement, at least for me. When? I don't know exactly. Maybe when you read to James that first night. Maybe when you stood up to your father. Maybe when you told the stylist you didn't need strangers dressing you. Small moments that added up to something bigger. Lena's throat tightened. I'm scared. Of what? Of this, of caring, of building something real that could fall apart. Everything falls apart eventually. That's not a reason not to build it. That's bleak. That's realistic. He poured tea into cups, brought one to her. But here's the thing. Even if this falls apart someday, even if we end up being one of those statistics, at least we tried. At least we built something. You really believe that? I have to. Otherwise, Elizabeth's death means I should never try again. Never risk feeling anything. Never let anyone in. And that's not living. That's just existing. The raw honesty of it broke through Lena's remaining defenses. I care about you too, more than I planned to, more than makes sense given how this started. Feelings don't have to make sense. That's rich coming from you. You're the most logical person I've ever met. I know. It's inconvenient. He took a sip of tea. So what do we do about it? About caring about each other? Yeah, Lena considered. Maybe we just let it happen. Stop fighting it. See where it goes. No contracts, no negotiated terms. We already have those. For the legal stuff. But this, she gestured between them. Maybe this part doesn't need documents. That's terrifying. I know. They drank tea in the quiet kitchen. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm. Inside, two people who'd made a practical arrangement were discovering something impractical and fragile and possibly real. The legal battle with the biological father escalated over the next month. His attorney filed motions. Ethan's attorneys filed counter motions. It played out in courtrooms and legal briefs while Lena tried to focus on the pregnancy and the family she was building. James had adjusted to Lena's presence with the adaptability of someone too young to remember life being different. He started calling her Lena Mom, a hybrid that made her simultaneously want to laugh and cry. It wasn't Mom, but it was something, a step toward. Why do you call her Lena Mom? Rebecca asked one afternoon when Lena was within earshot. Because she's Lena and she's a mom. Both things. The logic was perfect, undeniable. At her 20-week appointment, Lena brought both Ethan and James. The ultrasound tech was charmed by James's running commentary on his sister's anatomy. She's so small, James said, watching the screen. You were that small once, Ethan told him. No, I wasn't. I was big. You were exactly that small. Did I have fingers? Eventually. The tech printed pictures. James insisted on one for his room. So I can show her when she's born. So she knows what she looked like when she was inside. Lena's heart clenched. This kid. This sweet, strange kid who was becoming hers in ways she hadn't anticipated. The biological father's case fell apart in early December. His attorney withdrew, citing ethical concerns. Turned out he'd been lying about his involvement during the pregnancy. Text messages proved he'd explicitly told Lena to terminate, had blocked her number, had made clear he wanted nothing to do with the child. Margaret called with the news. "It's over. He has no standing. The adoption can proceed." Lena sat down hard. "It's really over? It's really over. Ethan will be your daughter's legal father in every way that matters." After the call, Lena found Ethan in his office. He looked up when she entered. "Margaret called you too?" he asked. "Yeah. How do you feel?" "Relieved, terrified, both." "Why terrified?" "Because now it's real. You're going to be her father, legally, permanently, no going back." Ethan stood, came around the desk. "Lena, I was always going to be her father. The paperwork just makes it official." "But what if she wants to know her biological father someday? What if we have to explain that you're not, that he was..." "Then we tell her the truth. That biology isn't what makes someone a parent. That I chose her. That I wanted her. That I've been her father since the day I married her mother." Lena's eyes filled. "You really mean that?" "Of course I mean it. Did you think I was doing this halfway?" "I don't know. Maybe. This all started so transactionally. And it became something else. That's allowed." Lena moved into his space. Let him wrap his arms around her. They'd been physically careful with each other since the wedding. Polite distance. Separate rooms. But now she leaned into him and felt him hold her, and something shifted. "Ethan?" "Yeah?" "I think I'm falling in love with you." The words came out before she could stop them, hung in the air between them like something breakable. Ethan pulled back just enough to look at her. "You think?" "Okay, I know. I'm falling in love with you. Maybe have been for a while." "That wasn't part of the arrangement." "I know. I'm sorry." "Don't apologize." His hand came up to her face, gentle. "I'm falling in love with you too. It's inconvenient and terrifying, and I have no idea how to do this." "We figure it out together?" "Yeah, together." He kissed her, soft at first, then deeper, like they were sealing something that had been building for months. When they pulled apart, Lena was breathless. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we stop pretending separate bedrooms make sense." "Just like that?" "Just like that." They moved Lena's things to the master suite that night. It felt strange and natural at once. Her clothes in his closet, her toiletries in his bathroom, her life merging with his in ways that went beyond legal documents. That night, they lay in bed together for the first time as a married couple who actually wanted to be married. Lena's growing belly pressed against Ethan's side. His hand rested on the curve of it. "She's kicking," Lena said. "I can feel it." "Does it weird you out that she's not biologically yours?" "No." "Does it weird you out that James isn't biologically yours?" "No." "Then we're even." The simplicity of it made Lena smile. "When did you get so good at this?" "I'm not good at it. I'm just trying." "That's the same thing." They fell asleep like that, together. A family in ways that transcended biology and legal arrangements. Christmas came with complications Lena hadn't anticipated. Both their families wanted them for the holiday. Catherine insisted on Christmas Eve dinner. Lena's parents wanted Christmas Day. The negotiations felt like peace talks. They compromised. Christmas Eve with the Coles. Christmas morning at home with just their small family. Christmas dinner with the Harts. Catherine's Christmas Eve was exactly what Lena expected. Elegant, catered, more about appearances than warmth. But James loved seeing his grandparents, loved the mountain of presents, loved having Lena there to share it with him. "Open this one, Lena, Mom," he kept saying, bringing her gifts. Catherine watched this with an expression Lena couldn't quite read. After dinner, she pulled Lena aside. "He's attached to you," Catherine said. "Is that a problem?" "No, it's good. He needed someone. She paused. "I want you to know that I see it, what you're doing, how you're showing up for both of them. It matters." The approval, unexpected and genuine, made Lena's eyes sting. "Thank you." "Don't make me regret defending you," Catherine said. but she smiled when she said it. Christmas morning was chaos. James woke them at 6 demanding presents. Lena and Ethan stumbled downstairs to find Rebecca had already started coffee and laid out breakfast. "You didn't have to do this," Lena told her. "I wanted to. It's Christmas." They opened presents. James got dinosaurs and books and art supplies. Lena got thoughtful gifts from Ethan, a necklace with 2 small stones, one for each of the kids, a journal, a gift certificate for prenatal massage. She'd agonized over what to get him, settled on a photo album she'd made with pictures from the past few months, their awkward courthouse wedding, James's birthday party, quiet moments she'd captured when Ethan wasn't looking. He paged through it slowly, stopped on a picture of him and James reading together. "I didn't know you took this," he said. "You were too focused on the story." "Thank you. This is—" His voice caught. "This is perfect." Dinner at Lena's parents' house was less fraught than she'd expected. Her father was warming to Ethan, slowly. Her mother fussed over Lena's belly and asked medical questions Rebecca had already answered 3 times. "You're taking care of yourself?" her mother asked. "Yes, Mom." "And the baby is healthy?" "Completely healthy." "And you're happy?" The question was quieter, more serious. Lena looked across the room where Ethan was talking with her father while James showed them both his new dinosaurs. "Yeah," she said, "I'm happy." Her mother followed her gaze. "He's good to you. He's good to all of us. That's what matters." Her mother squeezed her hand. "I was wrong. About this marriage, about your choice, I'm sorry. You were protecting me. I was judging you, that's different. But I see now you knew what you needed, even when it looked wrong to everyone else." The apology meant more than Lena could articulate. "Thanks, Mom." January brought cold and snow and Lena's 3rd trimester. She was enormous, uncomfortable, emotional in ways that embarrassed her until Ethan assured her it was normal. "I cried at a commercial yesterday," she told him, "about paper towels." What was sad about paper towels? The family was happy and together and cleaning up a mess. It was beautiful. Ethan wisely didn't laugh. "Hormones are intense. I hate this. I'm a mess." "You're growing a human. You're allowed to be a mess." James was fascinated by Lena's changing body, asked constant questions about the baby, wanted to feel her kick, talked to her through Lena's belly. "Hi, baby sister," he'd say. "I'm your brother James. I'm going to teach you about dinosaurs when you come out." "What if she doesn't like dinosaurs?" Lena asked. James looked horrified. "Everyone likes dinosaurs." "Fair point." The nursery came together slowly. Lena wanted to do it herself, but her body betrayed her. Rebecca helped. Catherine showed up unexpectedly with a rocking chair that had been Ethan's when he was a baby. "Elizabeth used this with James," Catherine said. "I thought, if you wanted—" Lena understood. This was Catherine offering a piece of the past, a connection between the wife who'd died and the wife who'd lived. "I'd love to use it," Lena said. They set it up in this corner. Catherine sat in it, looked around the room. "She would have liked you," Catherine said quietly. "Elizabeth?" "Yes, she would have appreciated that you're practical, that you don't romanticize things, that you show up. You talk like you know me. I know you enough. I know you could have walked away from this situation, could have terminated the pregnancy, could have given up the baby, could have taken Ethan's money without building anything real. You didn't. You chose the hard path. That says everything." Lena sat in the other chair, a new one they'd bought to match. "Did you choose the hard path? With Richard?" Catherine smiled. "I chose money and stability. Same as you, initially, but somewhere in 40 years of marriage, it became real. Not perfect, but real." "How long did it take?" "Longer than 5 months. Give it time." February arrived with Lena at 35 weeks and miserable. Everything hurt. She couldn't sleep. The baby kicked constantly. James tried to be helpful, but mostly just asked if she was okay 17 times a day. "I'm fine," she kept saying. "You don't look fine," James observed. "You look tired." "Thanks, buddy." Ethan worked from home more, hovered without being obvious about it, made sure she ate, made sure she rested, made sure she wasn't alone. "You don't have to babysit me," Lena said. I'm not babysitting. I'm being present. It's the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. They'd settled into rhythms that felt like marriage, real marriage. Not the arrangement they'd started with, but something that had grown from it. They talked. They disagreed. They negotiated. They laughed. One night, Lena woke to contractions. Not the practice ones she'd been having, real ones, regular, painful. "Ethan," she said, shaking him awake. "What's wrong?" I think it's time." He was out of bed immediately, calm but moving fast. Called the doctor. Called Rebecca to stay with James. Got Lena's hospital bag from the closet where it had been packed for weeks. The drive to the hospital was surreal. Chicago at 3 a.m, empty streets. Lena breathing through contractions while Ethan drove with one hand and held hers with the other. "You're doing great," he kept saying. "You don't know that. I might be terrible at this." "You're not terrible at anything." "I'm terrible at being pregnant. I've complained for 8 months straight." "That's not being terrible. That's being honest." They got to the hospital, checked in, moved through the mechanical process of admission and preparation. Nurses who'd seen 1,000 labors treated Lena like number 1001. Labor was nothing like the books described. It wasn't beautiful or magical. It was painful and long and exhausting. Lena swore, cried, told Ethan she hated him. "I know," he said calmly. "You can hate me. That's allowed. This is your fault. Technically, it's not, but I'll take responsibility anyway. I want drugs. All the drugs. I'll tell the nurse." 14 hours later, Lena pushed their daughter into the world. The doctor placed her on Lena's chest, and she was tiny and screaming and perfect. "Hi, baby," Lena whispered. "We've been waiting for you." Ethan's hand was on her shoulder. His face was wet. Lena realized he was crying. "She's perfect," he said. "She's so small." "She's exactly right." They'd spent weeks debating names. Couldn't agree. Finally decided they'd know when they met her. And looking at her now, Lena knew. "Lily," she said. "Her name is Lily." Ethan nodded. "Lily Cole. Yeah, that's perfect." The nurses took Lily to clean her up, check her, do all the things newborns required. Lena watched from the bed, exhausted and elated and overwhelmed. "You did it," Ethan said. "We did it." "No, you did the hard part. I just stood here." "You were here. That's what mattered." When they brought Lily back, Lena tried to nurse, failed, tried again. Eventually figured it out with help from a patient nurse who'd seen countless first-time mothers struggle. Ethan sat in the chair next to the bed, watched them. Something in his expression had changed, softened, like the last of his armor had finally cracked away. "What are you thinking?" Lena asked. "That I didn't expect this." "Expect what?" "To feel like this. About her, about you, about all of it. What do you feel?" "Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Rebecca brought James to the hospital that afternoon. He came into the room cautiously, saw Lena in the bed, saw the baby in her arms. "Is that her?" he whispered. "Come meet your sister," Ethan said. James climbed onto the bed carefully, looked at Lily with wide eyes. "She's really small." "You were that small once." "Did I cry this much?" "More." James reached out one finger, touched Lily's hand. She grabbed it reflexively. James's face lit up. "She likes me." "Of course she likes you. You're her big brother." "Can I hold her?" They arranged James with pillows, placed Lily in his arms. He held her like she was made of glass. "Hi, Lily," he said seriously. "I'm James. I'm your brother. I'm going to teach you about dinosaurs and reading and how to build really good block castles." Lena's eyes filled. Again. Everything made her cry now. Ethan took a photo. James holding Lily. The beginning of their sibling relationship. The proof that families could be built from choices and commitment instead of just biology. They stayed in the hospital 2 days. Brought Lily home to a house that had been child-proofed within an inch of its life. Rebecca had prepared meals. Catherine had sent flowers. Lena's mother showed up with enough Korean soup to feed them for a week. "You need to eat," her mother said, "to make milk." "I know, Mom." "And rest. You look exhausted." "I just had a baby." "Exactly. So rest. But resting was impossible. Lily needed to eat every 2 hours. Lena was learning to nurse, learning to change diapers, learning to function on no sleep. Ethan helped as much as he could, changed diapers, walked Lily when she was fussy, brought Lena water and snacks and anything else she needed. "You don't have to do all this," Lena said at 3 in the morning while nursing. "I'm her father. Of course I have to do this." "But you didn't sign up for—" "I signed up for all of it. Stop questioning whether I'm committed." "Sorry, I'm tired." "I know, me too, but we're doing this together." 1 week after Lily's birth, the final adoption papers came through. Ethan Cole was legally her father, on paper, in reality, in every way that mattered. He showed Lena the documents. "It's official." "How do you feel?" "Like her dad?" "Which I already felt. So I guess nothing changed except the paperwork." "The paperwork matters." "Maybe. But what matters more is that I'm showing up, that I'm here, that when she's older and asks about her biological father, I can tell her honestly that I chose to be her father from the beginning." Lena kissed him. "You're a good man." "I'm trying." "That's the same thing." James adapted to being a big brother with the seriousness of someone given an important job. He'd bring diapers without being asked, would sing to Lily when she cried, would tell her stories about dinosaurs that she was too young to understand, but he told anyway. "Is she listening?" he'd ask. "She's learning your voice," Lena told him. "That's important." "Good. I want her to know me." At Lily's 1-month checkup, the pediatrician asked routine questions. Family history, medical background. Lena and Ethan answered together, a united front. Parents who knew their daughter. In the car afterward, Lena said, "That felt real. It is real." "I know, but it felt real, like we're actually a family." "We are actually a family. Not the family either of us expected." "No, but maybe better than expected. Different than planned." Lena looked in the back seat, Lily asleep in her car seat. "Yeah, maybe better." Spring came slowly. Lena healed from childbirth, learned to function on broken sleep, learned to balance 2 kids with different needs, learned to be a wife and mother simultaneously. Some days were hard. Days when Lily cried for hours and James was demanding and Lena felt like she was drowning. Days when she locked herself in the bathroom and cried. Ethan found her once during one of these moments, knocked gently. "Lena? I'm fine." "You're crying in the bathroom. That's not fine. I just need a minute." "Take all the minutes you need, but I'm here when you're ready." She opened the door. Let him see her with swollen eyes and exhausted face and all the unglamorous reality of new motherhood. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "Nobody knows how to do this. We're all just pretending." "You seem like you know." "I'm faking it, same as you." "What if I'm a bad mother?" "You're not a bad mother. You're an exhausted mother. That's different." He held her while she cried, then took Lily so Lena could shower, then ordered dinner so she didn't have to cook, then put James to bed so she could rest. These small acts of partnership meant more than grand gestures ever could. By summer, they'd found their rhythm, imperfect but functional. Lena had stopped trying to be the perfect wife or perfect mother, just tried to be present, to show up, to love these people who'd become hers. James started kindergarten in the fall. Cried the first day. Lena cried too. Ethan drove them both home and made pancakes because breakfast for dinner fixed most things. "He'll be okay," Ethan said. "I know, but he's so small." "He's ready." "I'm not ready." "You don't have to be ready. You just have to let him grow." Lena's parents visited more often. Her mother taught James simple Korean phrases. Her father built block towers with him. They held Lily and made silly faces. They were grandparents, fully invested. "Your father talks about James and Lily like they're his," Lena's mother said one afternoon. "They are his." "I know, but it took him time to see it, to accept that family isn't always biological." "And you, have you accepted it?" Her mother looked at Lily sleeping in her arms. "I accepted it the first time I held her. Biology matters less than love. You taught me that." At Lily's first birthday, they had a party. Small. Just family and close friends. James helped Lena bake the cake. Ethan hung decorations. Catherine and Richard came. Lena's parents came. Rebecca was there. They sang happy birthday to a baby who didn't understand but smiled anyway. Lily smashed cake everywhere. James narrated the entire event like a sports commentator. After everyone left and the kids were asleep, Lena and Ethan cleaned up the wreckage of the party. "This is our life now," Lena said. "Birthday parties and messy kitchens and kids who need us." "Is it what you expected?" "No, it's better." "Better than the plan?" "Better than any plan I could have made." Ethan put down the dish he was washing, pulled Lena close. "I love you." He'd said it before, but it felt different now. Earned, built from a year of showing up and figuring things out and choosing each other repeatedly. "I love you too," Lena said, not because of arrangements or contracts, just because. Just because is better. "Yeah, it really is." They finished cleaning, went upstairs to check on the kids. James was sprawled across his bed with Gerald the elephant. Lily was on her back, arms up, completely peaceful. "We made this," Lena whispered. "We did." Not the traditional way. Who cares about traditional? They went to their room, their shared room. The bed they'd finally started sharing months ago, the space that was theirs together. Lena thought about the woman she'd been a year and a half ago, pregnant and alone and terrified, sending an accidental text that changed everything, making an impossible choice that had led to all of this. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't sent you that ultrasound?" she asked. "Sometimes. But then I stopped wondering because this is better than any alternative." "Even though it started so weird?" "Especially because it started weird. We built this intentionally, chose it. That matters more than whether it followed some prescribed path." Lena settled against him, felt his arms around her, listened to the quiet house holding their family. She'd married a stranger for practical reasons, had agreed to an arrangement that made sense on paper but not in the heart. And somehow, through showing up and trying and caring when caring wasn't required, they'd built something real. Not perfect, never perfect, but real. And real was enough. More than enough. Real was everything.